Whoops, 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 whoops. Okay, there we go. Load. Yes. Alright, so I'm going to actually leave her alone. Because I have a feeling that the game might throw some possibilities to cheat on Dirong in your way. So I'd rather not do that. Seeing how much I upset her, my face would be the last thing she wants to see. Orin could use some time alone, and so could I right now. I dawdle on my endless tasks. Washing and drying off the dishes, dividing the trash to go in separate bins, mopping up the floor, seasoning the ingredients Orin left on the counter. It doesn't bother me that I just hurt someone. It doesn't bother me that someone thought being nice to me is not worth the time. It does not bother me that I am alone in this cold kitchen doing a job that I'm not sure I like. That the only person I really trust has just left. Whoa. I'm sure it does. Unless she's just numb, and that's what that whole passage was about. Oof, big hug. The clock ticks closer to 23:30 when I inspect the mess for the last time. Thinking back of it still gives me the chills. I guess it was a night similar to. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. It was a night similar to tonight that I saw the fearsome entity, a wanderer. One of these doors along the hall should be where that white shadow disappeared to. Dirong and I have been checking this area a few times, and we have come to several conclusions. It was more of me running my mouth, while Dirong nodded along and corrected me when possible. No one lives on the ground floor. These rooms are reserved for meetings, the dining hall, the kitchen, and the maintenance crew. At either side are the reception areas with automatic security checkpoints. Most of these doors are kept locked for their respective workers. Since the kitchen should be the only one that stayed open that night, we reduced our scope. And if it were me, I would try to escape the stairway. Escape is a funny term. Among the residents in this communal house, it is safe to say I am the least threatening person. If it were a resident on the upper floor, there is nothing I can do about it. However, the thought that it was something which originated from below ground has crossed my mind so many times. I blame all the horror movies I've watched. It always strikes me as strange how Nimgon would keep a merfolk with her. Even stranger, she can communicate with them. Not to mention the fact that lately she has been trying to mask the scent of disinfectant on her body. It would have been effective if I didn't have the sharp senses of a nymph. What other secrets are kept down in the basement? I recall the row of rooms when I snuck past the stop sign into the dank hallway. The water flows into the large brick gateway, which was just too dark to see inside. Although admittedly it is getting rather late. Just by looking down the stairway, my survival instinct kicks in. There is a heavy feeling rooted at the bottom of the stairs. I'm going to save, and with no idea what awaits me down into the basement, do I want to find this ghost by myself? Keep exploring. Against my better judgment, I continue my descent down the stairs. It is not long until I reach the end of the staircase overlooking the door. This is a bit of a stretch, but the alarm down here might not be working correctly. When I first came to meet with Nimgom, her door was unlocked for us. However, despite all the chattering outside between Dirong and I, she wasn't aware we already arrived until Dirong knocked. If the door was armed, then her timing wouldn't be off by that much. Not to mention that time when I overstepped my boundaries and explored the basement. Nimgom wasn't notified until I was closer to the bolted door. The weirdest thing is when I took a glance at Hizari's alarm panel, everything was in place. They're all connected somehow. If it were up to me, the best way to alarm an area without giving it too much visibility would be to install sensor plates or infrared detectors hidden behind the walls or underneath the floor. Probably put it near the bathroom and the staircase, good distance before the hefty doors to the basement's hallway. This is a side of Rue I haven't seen before. It's pretty interesting. If my theory is correct, I could go past that point and avoid setting off any unwanted attention. And here I am, in the basement at last. It is too late to turn back now. Nothing to be found when I look outside the deep blue window, not even the shadow of Nimgon's merfolk. I slip past the stop sign that hasn't managed to stop me once. The most curious sight catches my eyes. Near the large brick gate is a double door, chained with 2 padlocks. I swallow past the lump formed in my throat, and despite my best judgment, I find myself drawn to it. A heavy-duty metal rope weaves through 4 large metal bolts. As if that's not enough, a chain runs between the handles and the door. This door wasn't designed to stop curious outsiders like me. The chain has a crooked link between... The chain has a crooked link hidden behind one handle. Whoever pulled it apart did a fairly good job trying to smoothen it back to normal. Whoops. Curses. There is no way for me to pick this lock without any equipment. I look into the cardboard boxes for something else of use, but they only contain household supplies and appliances. The door next to the chain door is locked as well. Nothing else I can do here. This is enough to sate my curiosity for now. I look at the large gate at the end of the tunnel. It's too dark to see inside. Something about the cold metal bars is unnerving. I pick up the pace to get out of this damp basement. As I move past the door cracks, yep! Something hard struck me behind my head. Oh shit. Yeah, I had a feeling something like this would happen. I felt warm blood spurting out of my wound. My body lost its motor functions as I fell forward into the hard pavement. I had a feeling this might be literal death. We'll see what happens, though. That's why, well, I mean, I say before every choice, but yeah. It was blurred and was fading. The body was found at the... Oh, Jesus. Wow. Okay. But that's weird how... This is really weird how, she's talking about her death. She is talking about her death. That's really unnerving. That this is first person. What does that mean? Or is it just the way that they decided to do it because it's all first person? My body was found a day later inside one storeroom. What followed was a chain of violent events spun out of my death. I am forever tied to this place deep below the water. My long dream had finally come to an end. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, see, I think the whole human and, yeah, like, I thought it was just a weird story attachment, but you know what I kind of like? I'd kind of rather it just be a slice of lifey thing, but these other elements are very interesting. Either way, load. Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen. Turn back. Chasing after a ghostly figure at this hour, alone in the dark, it doesn't sound smart no matter how I cut it. If something happened, would anyone know where to look for me? It is best not to shrug off my first instinct. It doesn't take long until I reach my room, 304. At this time of the night, Kiri and Kai must be asleep, and I should have been too. Hover my keycard over the door scanner until it makes a beep sound. To no one's surprise, Kiri and Kai had already gone to bed. I take my time to brush my teeth before heading up to my side of the bed. Before I knew it, I've already crawled to Dirong's side of the bed. Her scent still lingers on our pillows and blanket. With a blanket wrapped around me, I imagine it to be her embrace. I imagine my skin being stroked until I fall into a blissful sleep. I wonder if Dirong thought about me when she went to bed tonight too. I tried my best to muffle my tears. Under the thick pillow. Cute hug. Good morning, Ruth. See you in the hall today. Bia Bay speaks with an unabashed glee. This would be the third greeting I had all morning. Certainly, Bia. Darla's pleasing chuckles come from behind my wheelchair. Her friendliness turned out to be more than a public facade. She is much warmer than anyone else before her. She picks up the speed once Bia leaves me to her morning exercise. Bia. It has been 2 weeks since Miranda left. It was nice to smile at someone again, to hear about Miranda's struggles and successes, and more importantly, to remember my orang. Looking back at the woman I was, I can only remember pain and misery. The pain is yet to subside like pests worming deep holes inside an old tree trunk. Jeez. Yet to cut the tree open is to reveal artful patterns of nature. There is beauty to be found everywhere. That's true. I'm starting to really get that in life. It's pretty great. When I opened the door to the balcony early this morning, the sun has yet to rise above the far horizon. Washed by the rain, the air smells clean. Last night's rain still lingers on each blade of grass. Judging by the long skid marks on the wet ground, the early morning delivery trucks must have come and gone. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, never mind. Act 3. At this height, I could still pick up that unique earthy scent. Thankfully, living so high up to the ground means pests are no longer a problem. Even with our annual pest control, I still had the occasional lone intruders nesting inside the house back when I was living at home. How'd you sleep last night, beautiful? Ah! Okay, so it looks like it's skipped to after, unless she's talking to her on the phone with some it's talking to her on the phone the next morning. But I'm glad they're talking with some difficulty. Darong sighs gently on. Yeah, I thought so. Into her end of the phone. Hearing her makes me feel like everything will be okay in the end. Huggle. I should have been there to tuck you in. That would help. I miss you. Ah! Darung's openness to affection is in contrast to her stony demeanor. I find it genuinely refreshing. Indulge me. What do you miss most about me? Your smile, your soft hair and fur. I miss lying next to you when I go to sleep and feeling your cool touches against my skin. I always felt like I was by myself when we were together. By yourself? Aye, it feels easy to be with you. That's sweet, Darung. Is everything alright to be up there? Is everything alright up there? The other team will leave this Friday. If you see an influx of new faces, they were probably from here. It is going to be a long deployment, then. If nothing happens, I suppose not. The higher-ups could reduce the number in Ganbong. I hope that's the case. It has been relatively quiet. A peacekeeping deployment should be nothing to be worried about. On the positive side, my pay is much higher here. I will get you souvenirs when I'm able. Ah, cute. What do you like? Just you. Ah, Darung scoffs. I can already see her amused eye rolling in my head. Ah, Koa recommended me a few places in town. We should visit them when you're back. I'd like that. I need to browse for a motorbike, too. You can ride? That's so cool. I extract a chuckle from Darung. An image starts to form in my head. Darung would be leaning back on her sports bike while wearing a leather jacket and a pair of shades. So cool. That sounds ridiculously sexy to me. It's a date then. I'll need to plan the whole day. You. What about you? Do you miss me too? Of course. And I can tell you all the ways I miss you. I hope you're by yourself because it will get absolutely filthy. All of a sudden the door behind me slides back. Rear, hello, kitty. No, stay. Kai grabs Spirit before he can escape. Are you done? Mom is waiting. Do you want to talk to Darung? No, you two go ahead. Just invite me to your wedding. Eh? It is a bit thoughtless to hog all of Darung's time. She was only on the speakerphone for around 15 minutes this morning before we went off to have our conversation. Hey, are you free to talk at lunch? I wish I could. We're only allowed phone time around this hour. I need to go now, Rue. I love you. I love you too. I can hear her pleased sigh before the other end cuts into the dial tone. Hug. I slide the door closed, blocking out the freezing wind behind me. We'll be late. It's not even 5 in the morning, and Curry already has one foot out the door. Where do you think hair ties go after we use them once? No dawdling. Okay. Usually by this time we would pick out a fresh set of uniforms while Darung watched us waddling around. Every time I looked back at her, I would watch that crimson gaze staring through the windows and into the empty night sky. Her attention would eventually shift to me, and I would once again be completely charmed by that earnest smile blooming on her lips. It feels strange to need someone so much. Rue? Yes? I must have dozed off. Let's go. Curie has advised other cooks to arrive 10 minutes earlier than usual this morning. It's like walking in the kitchen during that busy period before lunchtime. There is a line to the fridge for ingredients. Racks of raw vegetables are being stacked on top of my station. The meat we marinated last night should be ready to use by now. With the recent events of Darung leaving, I nearly forgot we were supposed to have 2 feasts this week. Thankfully, having to stay back last night means I could skip showing up early this morning. Curie told me it's common practice to have a big meal on the day of deployment. However, thanks to smart budgeting from the head chef, we're able to pull it off twice in a row. Ida is much more organized than I have accounted for. The kitchen operates with such efficiency to the point it took me nearly 20 minutes to realize Orin wasn't at work today. I had a feeling Orin's whole thing would come back up. She's usually the first to show up with her eyes peeled for Ida, doing what it took to keep the woman appeased. Perhaps last night's event hit her harder than I thought. Perhaps Orin's roommate was a close friend of hers, and me bringing it up wasn't as thoughtful as I intended it to be. Sick, she said. Who is she fooling? Unacceptable. I will quickly reassign her work. Curie nods in agreement. My stomach rolls upon overhearing the news. This could be it, my chance to shine. Instead of dying from boredom, I could hold the pan and face the searing fire head-on. Metaphorically. I could watch the heat seal the surfaces of the food, transforming the meticulously prepared ingredients into something delectable. Do you have something to say? Ida turns to me, her voice chilling. Freezes me and plays with a frosty intensity that I cannot help but look away. My confidence is shriveled from all this time doing prep work. Would I still be able to hold a heavy pan well? Would my flavor satisfy the resident's palate? Nothing. Huggle. Most cooking I've done was baking pastries for the challenges. The pies were one thing. Cooking for a bigger audience is different and laborious. It's a different and laborious process. I can't just chuck it in the oven and forget about it. Worse, I will be subjected to Edith's closer scrutiny. Sometimes it's smarter to run from a battle than fight and lose, I tell myself. Carrie gives me a curious look that I can only respond with my fake grin. I wish Diron were here to tell me I'm enough. Huggle. I feel that so much. Man. The me from a few months ago would find this long line of hungry residents daunting. You know, y'all are enough. I'm starting to realize that I am more than enough for my friends and my family. Especially when I just relax and I do what's required of me and then I do what I love with the rest of my time. As long as I do that, I literally do feel enough, and it's lovely. And really do what I love, not do what is comfortable. That's the key. And what's funny is I'm starting to get comfortable with a little bit of risk, of challenge, of needed attention, and not comfortable with being complacent and just sitting around watching things for hours, that kind of a thing. Watching porn and checking off for hours, that kind of a thing. It's just, I used to do that stuff all the time because I was afraid to keep doing things that were a little more challenging and a little more putting myself-y out there-y. But now it's literally the opposite, because I've swung the opposite direction because it just feels like I need to. I got extra thighs for you. Thank you. Next, please. And now I got most of the residents down to a T. At least there is something I can excel at. If I was allowed to cook while being this unsure of my own skills, I doubt I would have done my best. You're a natural at this now. Who'd have thought? It was an eye-opener. Working face-to-face with the residents was a chance for me to learn about the variety of tastes and portions. Seeing their satisfied faces makes all the hard work worth it. Ah, cute. Ah, you were friends with Orin, right? Will she be okay? Ugh, I gotta check on her after lunch. Should I come with you? Because it might have been my fault. I'm good. Girl needs space once in a while. Orin is a tough nut to crack, but Sakan is able to interact with her just fine. Out of everyone I know, you're probably the most uncomplicated person. I sort of envy that. Me? Oh, Rue. No one is 100% drama-free. Some clean their dirty dishes better than others. I see. We should drink to that one day. Definitely. To dirty dishes. La la la. But now I'm convinced Curry's humming is completely offbeat and off-key, because the song just shifted to its fifth music genre within 2 minutes. Even then, neither of us wants to interrupt her, not when she is happily ringing out the end of the mop like it was tofu. For someone who doesn't work on physically demanding tasks, Kiri's muscular strength is very potent. Oregon women cannot be underestimated. We only watch her from over the top of the bed while she is in this mode. By the way, friends, don't underestimate anyone, under any circumstances. It just doesn't lead to good things. What do you mean you only became a couple yesterday? What did you think you two were? Oh, well, we hung out daily and did a lot of sex stuff, holding and touching and kissing and so on. I thought it was, casual? Ugh, I tuned out when you mentioned sex. Kai cringes. She squints her eyes like they caught some sand. It's okay, that's most of it. I really don't want to have this conversation, but it's like watching an exploding roller coaster. So hard to look away. Dirong is the one person I trust enough to confide my private thoughts. It's cute of her trying to have lunch with us every other day. We even sleep together every other night. When I put it like that, it does appear like we were dating. Well, did you with other... I didn't even want to ask. No. I mean, Dirong was enthusiastic, so I never needed to find someone else. She wasn't? Would you have tried sleeping with someone else? I mean, this pounding from Kai is enlightening. The person I was trying to convince all this time was me. No? Good. Dirong is a big girl, but she's quite fragile. Romantic relationships are so complicated. I don't get the point. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad Dirong is with you. Kai is quite protective of Dirong. It is times like these that they seem like actual sisters. It takes Kiri 20 minutes to get our room thoroughly cleaned. It is a task Kiri enjoys, so we let her do it. We would help out around the home by folding the laundry instead. You mumbled last night? All right, I had quite an intense dream. You mumbled last night. All right, I had quite an intense dream. That kind of a thing. I feel like I still need to be working on how to say lines instead of just kind of monotonally kind of saying them. What is the word? I forget the word. You still have dreams? Yeah, it is getting less frequent these days, though. You girls no longer have them, I take it? Mine ended a while ago. I think Dirong had mentioned Kai was still dreaming. I wonder if they stopped recently. She was a scoundrel. She died with all the money in the world and not a lick of love. Putting myself in her shoes, I suppose her actions made sense at the time. See, this is really interesting, how everyone has a dream of being a different, specific person and living their whole life. It's really interesting. These VNs usually have some interesting flavor touches in the story that make it more interesting, but I don't know if I agree with the ones in this one, but I don't agree with a lot of the other smaller ones, like the tinge of horror stuff and all the that other stuff. That's pretty spooky that it was dangerous enough that she got killed. I wonder if it was I really do wonder if it was Nimgon that killed her, or if it was, you know, in that other ending, or if it was or if it was whatever that was. Don't remember mine. Do you think they mean something? Is it something we can learn from, you mean? I have no idea. Like, don't be bad? Dreams have been a topic of debate for a long time. In the olden days, I've heard people have built religions out of dream interpretations. Things happen for a reason, Kai. You can learn from all sources of life. I do agree with Kiri on that. Dreams are for the sleeping, Mama. I'll take reality over any of that nonsense. Having low expectations work for me. Keeps me from spiraling, you know. What about becoming a pilot? With my asthma, it will never work out. Kai. I can sympathize with both. The mood lights up as soon as we settle down to watch a show. My mind is still on the subject, taking in little of what is happening on the screen. The sun is falling to its nightly slumber, leaving behind none of its vivid rays of sunlight. Tonight is colder and darker than all nights before it, marking the change of the season. If Dirong kills me, will you go to my funeral? Wait, what? Why would she kill her? Sure, what? It's an odd answer for my question to why Kai avoided hanging out with Dirong. Elaborate? You have to, Kai. Kiri calls out from the bed. She has made herself comfortable, lying on her side and enjoying her show. Ever since Kai came back with a stack of drama discs, Kiri has had her eyes fixed on the screen whenever they're off work. Kai knows her mama's taste. I know, Mama. I was going to when she's back. You don't need the mask, do you? Not this much. What do you know about Oregon Chin? Ah, that makes sense. What do you know about Oregon Chin sigils? Only a few nobles back then wore them, is that right? Correct. It's ridiculous to brand themselves based on their wealth, isn't it? Even if it isn't blatant, it is safe to say that there are people who dislike or mistreat former landowners. You mean... Kai deeply sighs through her stuffy mask. She unclips the back of her metallic mask. In one move, it slips right off and reveals her long tusks. I got mine removed. I'm confused. Why would it bother Dirong? Oh, wait a second. Dirong and Kai were close since infancy, so if Kai removed her sigil while Dirong hasn't. It was a dumb idea. I shouldn't have let the others get to me. Children are not an extension of their parents, and at the same time, it should be their choice to remove the evidence of those who came before them. I'm sure Dirong would understand why you had removed it. I hope so. It's hard enough to make good friends, and I don't want to lose our friendship over something dumb. You won't. I turn back to Kiri and see her eyelids shut tight. Spirit has already made her chest his bed for the night. I love Spirit and I love Kiri. They're both very cute. Especially together. Will it be okay? I feel like I betrayed her. It is your own body, Kai, and if your friendship is strong enough, it will survive a reasonable change. I can see why Dirong likes you. You give a good pep talk. Pep talk? I hope is at least helpful. You know, we talked about having a real date once Dirong comes back. What do you think I should wear? Anything but your nipples shirt. I knew it! You still think it says nipples. It is, though. Karen chimes in. I thought she's gone to bed. Not you, too. My mother was not a perfect woman. These dreams again. Not by any means. She had more downs than ups. She was someone the carers found difficult to take care of. More than once I had to take time off my shifts because I had calls telling me that she had snuck away. My mother was not a perfect woman because she knew pain, she knew disappointment, and she knew hardship. But she also knew love, friendship, and meaningful connections. And before her passing, she knew how to live life to the fullest. She has lived a life full of adventures. She has struggled through and overcome challenges most could not imagine. Tonight we celebrate the life of the woman known as Ruth Adair. Ruth Adair. Adair? A mother, friend, and an adventurer. What does a nymph's bite do? I stifle a yawn. It must be at least an hour past 12 now. Meanwhile, Dirong has just finished her shower with her squad mates. It's quite late over there, The crackling noise on the other end makes it difficult to hear Dirong's familiar voice. Just to add another layer of challenge, the strong wind constantly howls and whooshes in my ears. The weather has shifted noticeably over the past few days. I'm fine. I don't want you to feel alone at night. Anyway, what made you curious? Some of them asked me how your bites felt. At first, I thought they were being playful. That's not the case, It is our cheat code, sweetie. A nymph's bite is supposed to be so painful yet inexplicably pleasurable. Some described it as being stimulated by invisible needles that were both boiled and frozen. A weak mind would crumble, unprepared to face the intensity. Weak is by no means a fitting description for Dirong's aptitude regardless. But you bit me before and they felt like nothing what you just described. It's because I didn't mix it with my blood. It wasn't fun taking the easy way out. I see. We are quite different, ain't we? A nymph and an Oregon, one lean and one tall. My childhood was less eventful than hers, who went from being a noble child to an orphan. She eats for sustenance, and I just love eating. But our differences complement each other, I think. Hey, I've never asked you how you feel about the military. You don't have any prejudices towards them, do you? They're not giving us any trouble. We only see each other in town on the weekends since our bases are quite far away. We don't butt heads or anything. I mean, I'm fine with you, right? Me? I must have taken a while to reply because Dirong's voice is laced with concern. Are you okay? Are we still okay? How did you find out? And shouldn't I ask you that question? Kiri asked me if you told me you served in the military. That's how I found out. Wow, Kiri. I made you feel like you couldn't tell me about your past. No, I was definitely overthinking it. I just thought it was Dirong's nature to be caring and accommodating to others. But the more I thought about it, it became more apparent that I have her special treatment. When did you start liking me, Dirong? How about you tell me first? Oh, I think I always have. And with time, my heart only grew fonder. So have I. Cute. Then, what could make you dislike me? I'm not sure. I like almost everything about you. Almost everything? I chuckle nervously. Almost everything? I chuckle nervously. Even my tired mind could come up with several things she might dislike. Before I could protest, Dirong follows up. I haven't found one thing I dislike yet. I'm not sure I will. Aw, cute. I jolt awake from a nightmare, a fragmented recollection of home. In my dream, I saw myself stealing a boat and rowing it along the river. My 8-year-old self didn't have the strength to master the old boat, which drifted faster and faster until it spun out of control. I prefer my dreams about the old woman. It has been a few days since her funeral. Huh, okay, so it's actually over. So that's that. I was in her shoes, I was in her thoughts, I was there with her. The woman was me. But soon her images will be cast aside. It won't be long until I need a catalyst to revive the memories of my dream self. Wait, what? Overslept? Kiri is waiting by the ladder when I make my way down. I did? The clock on the wall proves Kiri's point. It is nearly time for our shower. Did you finish talking to... I've never heard of this catalyst thing. I'm wondering if that's a real thing. Did you finish talking to Dirong this morning? I hope Kiri remembered to tell Dirong how the kitchen was overrun by crabs yesterday. Mika accidentally tipped the crab barrels over with her bus. The images of the chaos ensued will forever burn in my mind. No. She didn't call. She could be busy this morning. It's probably nothing. Dirong doesn't have to call every day, but it's nice she tries to make time for us. Huh? Something is nagging in the back of my mind. I climb up the ladder to double check. As I feared, the hands on Dirong's patched up clock point to 3:20 and have stopped moving. This must be why I got up late. Kai, the clock is dead. I call down to Kai below me. To last this long, it is more resilient than I thought. Didn't you just replace the batteries? Yes, I did. Nothing we can do, then. Give it to me. I will bin it. I yank the clock back when Kai reaches for it. No. Deerong likes it. Ah, cute. Sheesh. I'm sure Deerong won't mind. I groan weakly. My head tilts down and I look up. My lips quiver. My best reenactment of puppy eyes. Please, Kai. Can you save it? Aren't you good at tinkering? Fine. Deerong will be happy to learn you like her this much. Of course I do. Deerong is like premium ice cream, you know. She looks cold and tough, but when you take a bite, she's soft and sweet. I make a motion of biting my lips. Please don't use ice cream to describe my sister ever again. No promises. Shall we go? Sure. We'll talk later, Kai. Have a good day. It isn't rare for Rita to take the whole morning to do the shopping. There are always things we can't account for, especially amid the seasons changing.